In this video, we're going to talk about Spawn's World Shattered. This is King Spawn's brutal and violent story. We're going to cover King Spawn issue number 31 to 36 of full story arc. This story arc takes place after the events of Nyx taking the throne in Hell, and everyone, Hell spawned heaven, Hell, they all lost their powers, but the vampires, they still got theirs, and that's where the story takes off from there, and it gets interesting, and this is Spawn's World Shattered. So before we get into the content, link in description if you wish to add this comic book and or any of our other limited print rated comic exclusives to add to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. Also, timestamps will be in description if you wish to go from issue to issue. And if you like the content we're throwing up, you know what to do. Like and subscribe to Rated Comics YouTube channel for more content like this. So with all that being said, let's get into the content. So previously in King Spawn, the aftermath of the race to the throne is upon us, and Spawn is now in uncharted territory. It's been nearly a month since the change. Those affected have desperately been trying to assert themselves. For those at the bottom of the food chain, they have another goal, and that's to blend in, to disappear, to not being seen. He don't want that smoke. The only smoke he wants is the smoke of his cigarette after he lights it up, but he's looking for something. He's looking for a certain douchebag, that is. So he makes a phone call and he's like, yo, where is bro? Bro was supposed to be here 20 minutes ago. You guys were too soft on him. Now he's late, and that's all he knows. But in the distance, he sees something. He thinks he sees the person he's about to meet. So he tells him, where the heck have you been, bruh? You late. And then he realizes, wait a minute, hold up, you ain't Billy. And all he sees, he don't see Billy, he sees those hands. Not once, but twice. And then Spawn's like, nah, bruh, Billy ain't coming tonight. And unless you want to be buried next to him, I'd pay close attention to what I'm about to ask you next. There's an elderly woman, her last name is Blake. Where is she? I don't know, says the guy. You sure? I swear. So Spawn's like, okay. And you could tell 6 months of Nyx as a new ruler, he's over dead zones now. So he has no power, so his chains cannot be concealed. His cloak is just there. So Spawn's like, okay, let me help you up. And he's looking more like Ninja Spawn than Spawn. So Spawn tells him, you good? And Jimmy's like, yeah, I'm good. But there's just one thing, says Spawn. What's that? I don't believe you. See these hands. Later on, Jimmy wakes up and Spawn's like, glad you're awake, Jimmy. How do you know my name? Oh, that's not important. Do you know who I am? I told you, I don't know anything. I'm Al Simmons, the one they call Spawn. Does that refresh your memory? Where's Miss Blake? Don't know, I just follow orders. Whose orders? Just a guy, says Jimmy, some voice over the phone. I've never seen him. Oh, that's disappointing, says Spawn. He takes out a knife, puts the symbiote mask over his face, and slits his throat just a little bit just to let the blood drip. So Spawn tells me, you know we've all lost our powers. Of course you do. I'll show you what that means, and you may not want to bleed all over yourself. How long you been on Earth, Jimmy? Must have come quite a shock to you to find out Hell's abandoned you and your kind. I know it was for me. That's why I need to find some folks, some friends I could lean on. This is one of my new best friends. He hasn't eaten for a week, and guess what? Like Tyrese from Fast and Furious, all of y'all in the comment section comment below, he hungry. And I think he smells the blood from your neck. Now, where's Miss Blake before I feed your ass to him? I don't know, says Jimmy. What good are you to be then? He throws him in the cage, closes the door, throw the key, lock it away. But the chain stops the creature in its tracks. Elsewhere, 1 week earlier, these guys are in a meeting, and the head of the table tells the guys, the question is, what should we do about it? For now, most of the Middle East and South American groups can still be counted on. But what about Blood? The vampires are rallying behind him. He needs to be dealt with. We're dealing with the aftermath of Spawn 350. Everyone has their powers taken away because they're underneath the dead zone. So the leader is like, okay, well, Blood will be dealt with in time. Meanwhile, the Asian groups have said they'll align with us soon. It's Europe we need to keep monitoring, especially the German faction. They've made deliberate attempts to grab more influence for themselves. Kruger was a problem, even before we all turned mortal, says another voice off panel. And this guy's like, he was. I never believed he should have let half-breeds into his circle, but he did. Now, instead of using his hellborn skills, he's using his financial and corporate ties to get the jump on us. And another voice is like, well, I heard he's also recruited some of God's rogue agents. And the head of the table is like, yeah, they have all lost their powers too. That's not the problem. The problem is it's the technology he's leaning on. Technology he's unwilling to share with us. So pull some of Kruger's military contracts. Ship them to those more loyal. That shows us more respect. And another guy's like, whoa, but won't that increase tensions? Oh yeah, I'm sure it will. That's why Kruger needs to be eliminated. So the guy's like, but we're not permitted to touch one of the other heads. Oh, that's okay. That's why I'll get Spawn to do the dirty work for us. We'll make Kruger the target of Spawn's wrath. And how do we do that, says the voice off panel. Oh, you leave that up to me, as he has a sinister grin. So a week early, we also get a glimpse of Miss Blake in the office. She's getting her test results, and in fact, well, her test results are pretty good. All she needs to do is monitor her blood pressure and diet, but otherwise, things are good. So the receptionist tells Miss Blake to goodbye and have a good day. And Tina, this person who's the caretaker of Miss Blake, is like, how do things go? And Miss Blake's like, well, the doctor says I'm gonna live for a real long time. Oh, that's very good then. So they go to the store, they grab some things. At home, Miss Blake's like, okay, you've been kind of quiet today, Tina, but do you know when Linda, my original caretaker, is going to be back? I'm not sure. The message I got from the elder care is she was just sick. But you could tell Tina has something sinister going on because she's texting as Miss Blake is talking about what a lovely sermon Pastor Johnson did today. So on the ride home, Miss Blake is like, excuse me, Tina, it feels like, we're going the wrong direction. Oh, don't worry, there was a detour. So she pulls up and we see our boy Jimmy telling Tina, hey, the money's on the way. We'll take her from here. And now we're back to now. Some Spawn's like, your choice, Jimmy. And the last time I'm going to ask you, I need to know where you took Mrs. Blake, as there are some of us who care for her. That's why they took her, says Jimmy. Spawn's like, what, you trying to say something, bruh? That's why they took her, he says, as the vampire is getting ready to close to, getting a serious case of Lunchables and Jimmy in the Lunchable plate right now. No, Jimmy, you took her, says Spawn. Where? You've got 5 seconds. And the vampire is getting more hungry as we speak. And Jimmy's like, if I tell you, I'm a dead man. And Spawn's like, you a dead man if you don't tell me, bruh. So the chain breaks and the vampire is about to feast on that ass right now. But before he can, Spawn's like, leave him alone. Dex him. See my hands too. Even though Spawn's like, even though we ain't got no powers right now, y'all don't be trying me like I'm some kind of sample, alright? And Spawn tells the vampire, I still need answers from him. So the creature hisses its displeasure. But if it thinks it could beat Spawn without his powers, well, he knows he can't do this, so he has to cower away and back up. And Spawn's like, you're freaking out of time, Jimmy. Jersey, says Jimmy. She's in some warehouse in Jersey. Jimmy whispers the location into Spawn's ear. Now get me out of here, says Jimmy. Well, take this steak. You want out? Do it yourself. Spawn handles it like a top G. Spawn closes the cell door, then leaves, and Jimmy stabs the vampire in the heart, thinking that will do the trick, but the vampire is like, oh nah, bruh. Unfortunately for Jimmy, these vampires aren't like the ones we've read about or seen on TV, as the vampire goes to work on Jimmy and has his meal, and guess what? He may or he may not still be hungry, but you can tell me about that in the comment section. This is the end of King Spawn, issue number 31. What you guys think of the comic book? Comment below, let me know. Now, after the effect of Spawn, issue 350, where everyone on Earth has been vanished from hell and they ain't got no powers but Nyx, who knows what she's trying to do? I don't even know what Spawn's trying to do at this point. I know he was still looking for Wanda in Spawn issue 350, but if you guys haven't watched the review or the breakdown of Spawn 350, yo, I'm gonna leave the card at the end of this video right here, alright? And let me know what you think after you watch that. Previously in King Spawn, Granny Blake has been kidnapped, and Spawn will tear through every demon hideout until he finds her. But we start off with this issue with Terry Fitzgerald, Wanda's ex-husband before Wanda disappeared on him. He's taking care of these 2 kids, and his 2 kids do not want him to go to work, but he's gonna be late, so they ask him if they can please come with him. And Terry's like, not tonight, but I'll be back, and tomorrow we'll do something fun. And obviously, I deal with this right here. This panel hits me hard because my day job is I work at a casino. So when I have to work Friday or Saturday nights, hey, my kids don't want to see me go. They want to see me home. So this hits home, you know what I mean? Or if I got to drop them off at the sitter, they don't want to go. They want daddy home. So they tell daddy, or at least the sitter tells Terry Fitzgerald to enjoy himself, and she can stay late if he needs to be out longer to do what he needs to do. So while he's in the car with the party, Terry reflects on himself and he's like, man, I'm doing a crappy job balancing my life in the meantime, and the kids are missing their mother. The kids are missing my wife. I miss my wife, and it's really affecting and taking the toll on them. So his partner's like, yo, well, there's only one answer to that. Find a hot chick and marry her. And Terry's like, come on, Miguel, you know you're a prick for doing that. Alright then, well, she doesn't have to be that hot, just find somebody, bruh. So in the party, in this networking function or wherever they're at, Terry don't want to be there, he'd rather be home. But before anything can get started, something has already gotten started. This guy puts on his ski mask and they know something's about to go down. And it does go down. And this lady asks Miguel, why you got the look on your face? Of course he has a look on his face. A gunfire just popped off. And another one pops off too, right at the killer's head. So we want to know, who did the killer pop his gun off to? Well, we have our answer, and it's Terry Fitzgerald as he lays there, just as he's reading a text saying, I hope you're having an enjoyable night, as blood drips from him. But you know what? Spawn is on the other end, wherever he's at, in the same town, across town, we don't know, but he's putting hands on people and he's taking names, and you know Spawn is all about that business right now. And Spawn's like, you know what? I'm starting to get really pissed off, but not as much as this guy. Ask him what he did to your twin brother. And this is a reference to the previous issue. This vampire is hungry for the business, and this demon's like, man, that wasn't my brother. I swear to you, that wasn't him. So keep in mind, even though he looks human, that brother is a demon. And the reason why he can't revert back to demon form, he's all in human form, because the dead zones are enveloped around Earth and no one has powers at this point. You gotta reference Spawn issue number 350 to see what all that is about. And Spawn's like, I don't give a damn what you call yourselves. They give you demons human forms that make you look alike. Now you're stuck with that look. And I've already killed one that looks like you. I don't care if he is related or not. You all look alike. He didn't answer my easy question, so I'm gonna ask you, bruh. Who's your boss? And this guy is like, yo, this, like, get this vampire off of me right now. And because the vampires, they kind of run this thing right now because they're the stronger of the species. The demons and the angels are not stronger than the vampires right now. So this guy answers Spawn like, I don't know who the boss is, but it's open season on you Hellspawns. That's all I know. So because you lost your power, says Spawn, and Mrs. Blake, she was just to get my attention? Is that why you guys axed her? Well, there's a bounty on her head. Everyone's trying to claim it, alright? You really think you and I are equal, says Spawn? Oh, you are in for a treat. Because we're not equals, we're not the same. And the demon's like, but you're mortal just like the rest of us. Mortal? That may be true, but not just quite. The thing is, I don't need powers to crush your skull. My anger will do that for me. So someone should tell them to stop trying me like I'm some kind of sample, alright? So before Spawn can let him know that he stands on business, well, ain't no letting him know. He's just gonna let him know, hey, I'm standing on business right now. I am gouging your eyes in like that, and I'm gonna give you a little crack on the skull, alright? But you'll live. So Spawn tells him, your brother sent me to an empty building, referencing the last issue in New Jersey, but now he's dead. Where's the old lady? At the docks, the cruise terminal, Pier 29. Alright then. And Spawn slits his throat just a little bit, just to give his pet something to, look forward to. Maybe dinner a little bit. And Spawn's like, I'll be back. Pray that I find Mrs. Blake and that the message I got isn't true. So 6 hours earlier, he made plans on how he was going to save Granny Blake and how those near her would suffer. So he walks around trying to figure it out and find out, but he hadn't planned on them lying to him. So he goes where he was told to go, and he gets a text message, your friend has been shot. And Spawn is way too distracted to even pay attention to that. These two guys in the meeting were like, yo, Simmons, his friend, he was killed, right? No. The shooter was careful not to cross that line, but Terry Fitzgerald is in critical condition. Has Simmons attempted to visit him? No, not yet, bruh. I mean, Al is on priority number 1 to find Miss Blake. Oh, he'll be on fire when he does. And at that point, all signs need to point to the Kruger and his associates. That way, after Spawn finds Miss Blake and then he can finally visit Terry Fitzgerald in that hospital, we need to know, because we need to point all direction to Kruger and his associates. And when that happens, we can get to Spawn like that. But there's one thing I know about Spawn. He's thorough. He'll do his homework. There won't be a rock he won't look under. So Spawn creeps up on this guy and tells the guy to play the tape again and zoom in, and he sees a clue on his wrist. And the thing about Spawn is, when he finds what he needs, he'll come at his enemies with everything he has, knowing where some of them cluster, and he will be merciless when he finds them, because time has become his enemy. He's yet to find Miss Blake. So this bum is like, yo, please don't shoot. I was here hiding, I just heard it. That's it. Heard what? Said Spawn. The screams. So after Spawn does what he needs to do, whatever he's gonna do here, then he can go to the hospital and visit Terry Fitzgerald. But when Spawn asks him to show him what he's talking about, all Spawn sees is a trail of bodies, and he's gonna be pissed because these people know that when Spawn goes looking for answers, and the people that have those answers can't exactly give him those answers, which is the reason which you're looking at the panel right there, that's why they can't give him those answers, he's gonna explode and he's gonna take care of Kruger for them. And when Spawn takes care of Kruger, they will take care of Spawn. And that is the end of King Spawn issue number 32. Yo, that is a whole lot of plot seeding right there, where Spawn's looking for something, they know he's looking for something, but Spawn doesn't know that they know that he's looking, and they're gonna use Spawn to do his bidding. And when they do that, then that's when they're gonna trap Spawn. I hope Spawn can catch on to it, but man, that is some plot seeding and some trickery right there. So previously in King Spawn, Spawn is tricked into believing that the man behind Granny Blake's disappearance is Kruger. Now Granny Blake is Spawn's ex-wife, Wanda Blake's mother. Why is Spawn on the hunt for her? That is yet to be revealed to us. I don't know, but this is definitely juicy, especially after the events of Spawn issue number 350 when Nyx took the throne of hell and now everyone's powers is definitely disappeared. Hell spawns, angels, demons, all except vampires who have their powers, they're now taking over now, but Spawn still has to stand on business. So we kind of take it back where we start at the point of the story where we're at now with Spawn with pliers and a corkscrew, and he's looking for Granny Blake and he's trying to find answers, but everyone's telling him it's Kruger. Spawn is handling business, but he's just not going about the right direction because he's going in the direction that everyone's telling him to go. So even though we see this guy with teeth being pulled and Spawn with the corkscrew, we don't know how we got there, and it ends in a dramatic explosion. We go back 1 minute earlier and so on as we go backwards to see how we all got there. So 1 minute earlier, the fallen corkscrew came in handy for Spawn. We see what happens 1 minute earlier. Though he doubt that they would agree, that the people that he's dealing with would agree with that, he's just handling in business right now. So as he's going about his fight, he tells the guy, stop counting. Why are you stopping counting? Keep counting back. So the guys count back from 17 to 16. Spawn looks at him, and guess what? 2 minutes earlier, before that, I don't know if we're going 2 minutes earlier from the 1 minute mark, we see the events of what happened there. And Spawn is laying a smackdown on those asses right there. And the guy is counting back from 87 to 86, then from 55 to 54, then 32 to 31 and 30. Is this guy counting back or is he counting up? I think at this point he's counting up right now. So now we're back to 6 minutes earlier. And Spawn tells the narration that he got this dude to remove his shirt to humiliate him. And Spawn just mocks him and tells him, hey man, careful, you're getting blood all over your nice rug. Now keep in mind what Spawn's doing here is he's trying to locate Granny Blake and he thinks he's at the right location, but we don't know yet if Spawn has betrayed justice or deception, but this can't end well to be deceived like that. And this was foreshadowed in King Spawn issue number 32. So Spawn, knowing that he placed a bomb on the table, and he tells the guy to call the rest of his men out. But before you do, where's Miss Blake? On the look on his face, Spawn knew that he'll get his answer, which he did. So he sets the bomb off and tells the guy to count down from 100. And Spawn's just like, do it. I'll be busy with your men while you count down from 100. So now we go back to 10 minutes earlier, where before we see what this guy looks like. Clean, not beaten, not tortured or anything like that, not beaten for the sake of information, you know. So he asked his butler, did you find out what those sounds were? And his butler is like, well, I'm gonna have the guards check. And Spawn's like, you must be Kruger, and you know who I am, right? Your vampire pet unfortunately didn't know. And he shows his head and they could just look at him like, okay, he's on business right now. He's like, okay, I did not know that guy was Kruger. Now that we know that this guy is Kruger, Kruger is like, all right, Mr. Simmons, why am I so honored to be in your presence? Oh, I'll get to that in a moment. And he sees the bottle and the corkscrew, tips it over and decks Kruger in the face. Oh, but he's gonna take that corkscrew and he tells Kruger to open your mouth and open wide. I'm gonna rip out your fangs, but I'm not a vampire, you crazy fool. I know, but I don't care. So 1, 2, literally pulling teeth out to get information, but he don't care about that right now. Spawn just wants to exert his authority right now. So we go back to 12 minutes earlier. In his own arrogance though, sometimes he forgets that there are others unequally afraid. And they know, unlike themselves, that it's us that have lost the powers, meaning hellspawns and angels and demons, but not the vampires. No, it's why the front doors were barely covered, because they know they got that power flex right now. They weren't being lazy with the front doors being wide open. They weren't letting their guards down with Spawn walking right into that trap. No, it's because they're hungry and they knew that they had the upper hand. But Spawn had a trick up his sleeve, because when that vampire went to bite Spawn in the neck, he got shocked. Blood, their true master, has been terrorizing all of them since they ruled over the earth. And because Blood wants to exact revenge on being ruled over by the Hellspawns. And also, let's not forget, Blood made a few alliances along the way, which was to be expected. Spawn knew that would happen, which is why he prepared himself to fight anything. And what he did to prepare himself was to put an electric collar on his neck. And thing is, this breed moved a lot faster than the other breeds, and that's where Spawn got most of his wounds from fighting his one vampire brother right here. So now we go back to 14 minutes early before he fought that vampire. Spawn's pissed. He takes a rocket launcher and just blasts these guys out the way. For them, he needed more of a fluid tactic, but that's not it. So he just took him head on. Because in close quarters, that's Spawn's sweet spot. the space. Fighting in close spaces is his military training. That's where he excelled in his military training. Because the thing about hired guns is they're used to their victims running for them. They don't know what to do when someone isn't afraid of them. Just like these brothers right here. But Spawn embraces that challenge. He wants that business. He wants that smoke. So 15 minutes earlier, there's always the brain dead group. Those who believe blasting their music loud makes them a badass. Instead of just muffled sounds coming from the outside of the roast, these are the types that Spawn wants to waste no time on. He doesn't want to waste much time on. He just blasts them because, in his opinion, they're just not worth it. And when we go back to 17 minutes earlier, Spawn thought whoever he was going after, he thought he better be armed. Because he thought they were just invincible, but to him it looked like they were just getting lazy, as he's just, what the heck, just getting through these brothers like it's nothing, you know, like it's child's play. Walk in the park, mission easy. So he knows his enemies have fortifications and it could be hazardous, so that's why he wanted to make his entrance as dramatic as possible. That tends to flush out the crowd sections, giving them the chance to pick them off at will and pick them off in bulk, Costco style. So one day earlier, we see Spawn here making a deal to buy arms and pliers from whoever this brother is. Now 2 days earlier, that's when we get to see Spawn doing some interrogation before he went on his hunt for Kruger, because every direction he turned, every person he asked, the name Kruger came up, because that was the plan. It is why he went to Berlin to finish his mess, to look for Granny Blake. Now even though this issue of King Spawn started off different, because we started off at the end and went back to how it began, where usually you want to know how it began and how it finished off, it's the other way around. Hey, that's just the end of King Spawn issue number 33. I don't know what this whole Granny Blake disappearance is about, but I'm curious to find out and curious to get to know the real answer behind all this. So I like the more intimate storytelling of Spawn after the events of Spawn issue number 350, and feel free to check out the playlist of King Spawn and Spawn so you can get caught up as well, but definitely looking forward to where this story is going. Previously in King Spawn, Spawn's confrontation with Kruger leads to the Angel's death. Spawn, he's about business, he's standing on business, and Kruger got to go. But now a new mission to rescue Granny Blake begins. So here are the facts. A group of angels now turned mortal kidnapped someone very dear to Al Simmons. And now that he's on the airplane ready to do that rescue mission, here's another fact that happens too. That same group made it seem like one of their opponents had done the kidnapping. That man was named Kruger. It's all a setup. They're all pulling strings here to get Al Simmons to do their bidding. Now Al Simmons wanted to know where the person who kidnapped Granny Blake was. Simmons killed Kruger after he got his answers. And the group who wanted Kruger out of the way also had a friend of Simmons shot. Now Simmons needs to get back into America without getting caught. As he passes by US Customs and does his thing, and he gets back to New York, now it's time to plan. And his plan is to meet up with Terry's daughter Cyan. So Spawn thanks Cyan for, her taking the time to meet with him and all that. And Al Simmons is like, you heard about your dad, right? And Cyan's like, I did. They say he's stable, that he'll live. Because remember, a few issues back, Terry Fitzgerald got shot. And Al Simmons is like, that's good, but they've got security around him, so I can't see him. And Cyan's like, what, you lost your powers, right? Well, most of us did. What about you? And Cyan's like, I don't know. I really haven't had to use them. So Al was like, well, let me know. In the meantime, can you do me a favor? Watch over your dad. There's forces that are using people like your dad to draw me out. And Cyan's like, so is that why he got shot? I think so, says Al. Look, I know you and your dad don't get along, but I just want to know he's all right. And I believe you do too, but they won't hassle the child of a shooting victim. That's why I need you to do this. And Cyan's like, the cops are still looking for me, right? You remember that. And that's going back to Spawn issue 267 to 271, which, hey, eventually we'll get to those issues, but that's the editorial notes right there. So Al Simmons is like, look, I need your answer now. Why, says Cyan. Because this was just a detour. I'm going to save someone you love, Granny Blake. And Cyan's like, oh, say less, count me in. And Spawn's like, okay, then I'll need you to protect her after that, all right? So do your thing, watch over your dad, because I'm going to need you to protect Granny Blake when I get her out. I'll be in touch. So across town, these other vampires are like, good, with Kruger gone from the picture now, some of his people will need a new home. Make sure to get rid of most of them. So this brother's like, okay, so what do you want to do about the vampires? And the guy that's pulling all the strings, which you know very little about, but they got Spawn to successfully do the bidding on killing Kruger and taking him out the picture, all in the name of trying to find a plot around Blood. He's telling him like, look man, those that helped Kruger weren't loyal to Blood. So if you were to serve a couple of those traitors to him, we could buy time. Though eventually, Blood wants to wipe us all out. We need to be last on his list when he does it, alright? So we just gotta prolong our survival. So this guy smirks, like, so that means dropping Spawn into his lap. Oh yeah, he's taking our bait. Should we set the trap? No, not yet. Let's keep an eye out on him, alright? For now, then report back. What he did to Kruger and his gang last night was quite brutal. Let's give him some time to cool off. What those shadow players are gonna find out, since they've rarely gotten close to Al Simmons, is that when he gets worked up, he doesn't stop chewing on his bone until there's nothing left. Boy is bricked up on that violence right now. So meanwhile, we get to see where Granny Blake is being held at, and this guy's like, what's wrong now? Granny Blake is coughing because she's elderly, you know? She's like, I told you, I'm sick, man. I need my medicine. You keep saying that, and I keep telling you, I don't have any. But I know we can get some, says Granny Blake. Is that right? Well, why don't I just run out and go get you some, and maybe even some extra? You can tell brother's being sarcastic. And Granny Blake is like, look, man, I'm sick and I need to go home. Don't worry, this will all be over soon, says the brother. I don't understand any of this, says Granny Blake. So this guy comes outside, talks to this compadre or this other brother in training, and this guy is like, look, man, I don't know how much more of this I can take of that woman. Always whining about something. She's old. Relax. Then you figure out why she's coughing so much. It's getting on my damn nerves. My orders are just to stand here and guard. She's your problem. But I don't get paid if she dies, so you better get your stuff together and take care of her, alright? Because if something happens to my payday, that's your ass. So the brother has to walk away and do his thing, not without leaving the bird, you know? So he makes a call like, hey Benny, I need a favor. Got a female problem here, and I need a couple of you to come relieve me for a few hours. You know the place. And turns out the door is stuck, so he tries to open the door, and what gives? And Spawn kicks down the door like, nah, I'll tell you what gives, business, and yo ass got to pay. So where is she? And boy comes in with the heavy hand and quickness, and Spawn's like, whoa, okay, he has to curse himself because he never lets his enemy get the jump on him. Though it only pisses him off because bro don't let that happen too often, but you know what? He's ready for the smoke. So 12 minutes later, the guys are like, okay, we're here. Where's Leon? He's supposed to meet us here. And why is your front door smashed in? So they get the guns out, something's not right, and the hallway isn't supposed to be shut, so they wonder what's going on. As they enter, the darkness of the room makes the men squint and attempt to adjust their eyes. For Spawn, it's more than enough time as he needed to be able to take them all out, all three of them. He just needed a little bit of a jump, and he got that. So when he originally had hope there was only one, he was happy there was three. Either way, these men, all of them, agreed to join a plot that kept a frail old woman from her family. They were fine that she was terrified by her abduction. And when she begged for her medicine, they simply didn't give a damn. So now, that's exactly how Spawn will deal with them, not giving a damn. No mercy, all business. So Spawn's like, okay, good, the backup goons will come. They always do. So when they come, they're like, okay, I thought they went this way. How about this way? They're kind of confused. And during the Roman military training, they taught their troops how to confuse their enemies by making them guess what direction an impending attack would come from. So with any direction being equally valid, as long as confusion reigned. And that's all Spawn needs. As long as confusion reigned, he'll deliver the kill. And once again, his enemies are vanquished. So now he goes in for the target. Return back to his prime objective. Granny Blake hears a door open. She's like, who is it? Who's there? It's okay, Granny. It's me. And you can tell she's relieved. Al? Dear, I prayed so hard for God to help me to send someone, and he sent you. It's you. You've been gone for so long. And I was so scared. I never thought, shh. He wouldn't leave you alone. You're too important to heaven. Is that true, says Granny Blake? Did God say that? I knew he wouldn't abandon me. But I was so scared. I was really scared. Well, you know what? You're safe now. And you know what? You're brave. You're braver than most people. So he's consoling her, hugging her, telling her good job because you handled business. But you know what? It's time you went home. Lots of people are waiting for you. So those men, did you talk to them? Asked Granny Blake. Well, they just agree to let me go? What did you tell them? And Spawn has to protect her by telling her lies. A lot of lies. Also, all Granny Blake can tell Spawn is, you're my angel, Al. And that is the end of King Spawn issue number 34. That Spawn's shocking kill ignites his rescue mission. So now that he's got Granny Blake, we don't know what the next story plot's going to be from here, but you know what? This issue had a lot of slaying, a lot of killing, and I'm all with it. So previously in King Spawn, so after rescuing Granny Blake, Spawn has decided to hunt down those responsible for putting her in danger. So we pick up exactly where we left off in King Spawn issue 34. Spawn apologizes for Granny for putting him all through this, and Granny tells him, don't do that to yourself. You did nothing wrong. You hear me? There's just some people who chose to do bad things, and those men that kept me, they had blackness in their hearts. But I prayed for them and myself. It's why you're here now, Al. That's why God sends you. You've always been my angel. They have a touchy moment right there. So Spawn takes her home, opens up the door, puts her to bed, and Spawn is like, I'm gonna let everyone know that you're back. Thank you, Al. You're a blessing. And thank you for showing me what true strength is. Yo, that's really deep coming from a brother like Al Simmons himself. So he tells her, I promise to keep you safe. Gives her a kiss, walks out the door, and these angels are like, hey, Al. Spawn is like, all right, gentlemen, you ready to do your job? It's why we're here. Good. Now protect her with your lives until I get back. So he walks away, and later someone tells Al that he looks like crap, and it's this vampire looking dude. So I don't know who he is, but he tells Spawn, I suspect that's part of the reason you called this meeting. Must be quite unsettling though for you demons and angels to be so irrelevant these days. And I must say, I'm surprised you've chosen to expose yourself like this. The enemies who now hunt you enjoy when you act foolish. So after he lets that be known, he tells Al, how may I be of service to you? And Spawn's like, can I trust you? Depends, but neither of us has much of a choice given our current conditions, right? Spawn's like, good, I was hoping you'd say that. That means we can trust each other. So he tells the vampire, there's an old lady I need you to watch over there. She must be important. Well, that's why I thought of you. Oh my dear Simmons, I'm truly touched. Here's the proposition. You help me, I help you. You good with that? And the guy's like, so far so good, as he shows the fangs coming out. So Al's like, cause we both know everyone's screwed right now, just like you. I heard you're on Blood's crap list. I can help with that. I can deliver an angel to you, an important angel, one that Blood's been looking for. You make sure that old lady doesn't get a scratch on her head, then that angel is all yours. The angel will come close to her place, Jester, knowing your gang's patrolling. And Jester's like, yeah, forget those angels. I got this covered. Let me do the damn thing. So Al is like, nice. He turns around and leaves, and he's like, wait a minute, hold up, where you going? To go get your angel. So let me do my business, and you do the business I asked you to do for me. So we see this guy eating the meal, and Romero, his bodyguard or whomever comes in, interrupts that meal, and he's like, okay, so who sent you? Oh, I'm flying solo today. So what'd you hear about with Kruger? You know, I don't like your style. I don't like you denying it. The fallout is with my leaders, and your partners have gotten soft hiding from Blood's vampires. I don't like it. So earlier in King Spawn, they've been having this ploy that they want Spawn to hunt Kruger and do this damn thing. So now this is all in play. And because it's all in play, the bodyguard or whoever this guy is asks the brother, do you need me to find Spawn and hand them to you? Let me find them for you. In exchange for what? He says. And that's all we're left with. So we go into this panel right here where these brothers are trying to buy some weed for 40 bucks for a gram. And it's bull jive because that's just highway robbery. The price is a bit too high, but they have to do it anyway because they need their fix. So Spawn's like, so was it worth it for 40 bucks? Go Spawn, get out of here. And they give him the bird. And Spawn's like, oh, wrong answer, mother. Meaning you're either cocky, stupid, or high. Takes up the swords, looking for the smoke, and says maybe all three. Slices them up like a deli shop, but with a little bit more blood and meat than that. And arms come out, and this guy is just pissed, and Spawn's like, quiet, I'm not done with you. I'll bleed to death, says the guy. Oh, that's a given, says Spawn. Question is, do you want to lose your legs before that? So, I'm gonna need some info. And the guy just laughs like, okay, and Spawn's like, what, is that funny? It is now. So Spawn turns around and he sees why the guy is laughing. And Spawn's been dreading this moment, hoping he could delay it, but he knew that as much as he tried to always keep the advantage of surprise on his side, there'll come a time when the roles will be reversed. And though they've all lost their power since Hell's throne was conquered, some of Heaven's warriors still embrace ordained orders, and those orders were to eradicate every damn Hell spawn they encounter, and that's what they intend to do. And part of the problem for both sides is trying to remain stealthy as they deal with being mortal. This means being aware of their surroundings. If they're near areas where humans frequent, they have to leave guns behind and use alternatives so as to not draw attention to themselves. It also means whoever's losing the battle expects that no outside help will be coming to their aid. And Spawn's over here getting worked, kicked, impaled in the gut, knives being thrown at him. So whatever the outcome of this fight has to be is going to be Spawn's final. So he has to do this, and he has to summon up whatever's inside of him to finish the job. And for too long, Spawn has gotten used to being on the winning side. His Hellspawn abilities giving him a huge advantage over most of his adversaries. Tonight, will not be one of those times. Takes out the blade and tells his brother, puts it through his head. As the close quarters they are fighting in can be both a blessing and a curse. So Spawn gets one attack in, and the curse is he gets another attack landed on him. So with police officials claiming the bloody mess is just another gang-related dispute, causing them to wonder how many gang members survived and whether the bloodbath will continue. So this other guy approaches Spawn like, feels strange, doesn't it? That we can actually lose our breath and feel feeble. Look at you. My, how the mighty have fallen. This has to be difficult for you. Save your pity, says Spawn. Pity's not what I'm here to give you. I'm here to give you these hands, says the brother in black right here. So he lays a mollywop on Spawn. So blocks away, Jeremy Strachan tinkers away into the wee hours of the night like he's done 100 times before, losing track of time because he's so engrossed in trying to find solutions to the problems of his own making, running dozens of possible scenarios in his mind that might make his invention even more efficient, creating an endless loop of possibilities, to the point that many call him disturbingly obsessive. And so Spawn comes in, calls out his name, and tells him that he needs his help. And that's where we end this review of King Spawn issue number 35. What you guys think of the comic book? Comment below, let me know. Also, link in the description if you wish to add this comic book and or any of our other limited print Rated Comics exclusives to add to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. So previously in King Spawn, with Granny Blake now safe with Cyan, Spawn brings the fight to those that sought to harm her. So Jacob Marsh was never athletic. In fact, he was pretty much a dork. Then combined with that always being smaller than the other kids at school. Reason why we're going to Jacob is because in the previous issue, Spawn went to Jacob to get some healing. So now he's getting some materials. And the reason why he's getting those materials, or how he knows about those materials, because when he was isolating himself in his room because he couldn't hang around with the kids at school, all he had to do, all he had time for was to read. So he got all these little items over here, $1,248 in total and 69 cents. Why you gotta put this 69 in there? We know what you're doing. Too early for that. No, it ain't. Anyways, so he got his materials, but he still has to get more materials from the pharmacy. Some band-aids, some aspirins. He asks the lady over the counter, what's the strongest painkillers you have? She tells him, and he asks if the liquor store down the street, if it's still open, and she's like, it's always open, unfortunately. So he goes over there and asks for the strongest bottle of liquor. Well, it's a full moon out there in his little shack, and he asks Al, are you sure about this? Just do it. We'll take a swig of this, heats up the needle, and tells Al, in case the painkillers don't work, as I've said, I'm not a medic. Well, you're all I got, so just do it. And does it? He does. Even though it's stupid, but Al has to do what Al has to do to get stitched up, because like I said in the previous issue, King Spawn 35, Al got that work. Even though he's no longer has the full powers of Spawn anymore because of the events in Spawn issue 350 when Nyx took the throne, the dead zones enveloped the earth, covered up the earth, and no one has the powers no more that are heaven or hell's agents. They're just walking around like normal human beings. Yo, that's pretty brutal right there, and a bit gross. But now tells Al, in order for me to seal your back, I have to use something a little bit bigger, so you probably are gonna need that drink. And he stitches up his back, and now he needs to cauterize it, but ooh, Al's really gonna need that drink. So all of a sudden he calls Al a punani. But this is just crazy right here. But there's so much pain going on that you can see it in this panel right here, and so much pain happened that Al Simmons blacked out. So in this panel right here, Blood is meeting with his vampire agents, and they tell Blood the West Coast is pretty quiet for now. Most angels there are hiding, deep hiding, and so are Hell's Angels as well. Did I say Hell's Angels? I mean Hell's Agents. So heaven and hell, angels and Hell's Agents, they're hiding from Blood because right now vampires have all the power. And they're like, good, it's kind of nice seeing them run for a change. Freaking losers. But Blood is like, I will not tolerate arrogance, you understand? We do not have that luxury. Their powers will eventually return at some point. We need to be ready. But right now, bring me my captive. And that they do. And he tells the captive. And that's Kruger from the previous couple issues, because Kruger ratted him out to Spawn. And Blood is like, do you know who I am? I do. You control the vampire sectors. Then you also know I did a few favors for you angels. Lent you some of my troops. And Kruger starts getting nervous like, look Blood, no. I won't stand here and listen to excuses. What happened in Berlin is unacceptable. I lost some good men. And he's talking about King Spawn issue number 33 when Kruger spilled the tea, a little too much tea, on where exactly to find the Berlin agents for Al Simmons. So Blood is like, we both want the same thing, so let's stop this. It was Simmons, wasn't it? The question is, how did he know about our Berlin alliance? Your side said you had a plan to deliver him to me. Well, that didn't work, did it? So let's refocus our efforts. You get me, Spawn, I'll get you your wings back. Here's what I know. You miss flying, don't you? Let me help with that. Don't you just like when they kind of soften you up just before the big finale? Well, he throws him out and gives him a little test flight, but the brother can't fly. And Blood tells him, tell security to clean that up, clean that mess up before the police come. So Al Simmons is recovering over here, but he doesn't know how long he blacked out for, nor does he care. All that matters to Spawn is that he gets back on his feet and is able-bodied at that point. But being human again, that'll take time because he needs time to heal, but that's time he can't afford. Don't worry about that, that's a typo right there. Which is why he came to Jacob's workshop, to the man they call the Tinker. His skills might be the only thing that can keep Al alive. Hey, I need you, says the Tinker. Even though we know his name is Jacob. So Jacob tells him, hey, I augmented some portable body simulators, connecting it to muscle impulses. In other words, all that fancy talk, he made Al like an Iron Man, Al Simmons, Spawn Man. I'm trying to think of Iron Man and Spawn, but he made him a suit. And all Al Simmons cares is, will it work? Of course it will. I built it. It takes a bit of time to walk Al through how the various components work, which is okay with Al. But now he can take on a tank. So Spawn is like, oh man, this is legit right here. This has got some drip to it. So in other words, it doesn't feel restricted to me. I left you an address, and at that address is a bag of money for you, all right? I'll let you know how this thing works out. So Spawn goes about and goes on to his mission right now. This thing looks pretty sick to me. Before we go any further, I just want to let you guys know this video is sponsored by coffee. So if you'd like to buy a boy a cup of coffee, donate to the super thanks or link in description. But the greatest compliment you guys can do is by liking this video and subscribing to this channel. With all that being said, let's get back into the content. After more testing, Spawn is satisfied. He knows he was lucky during his Berlin attack and barely escaped his past encounter. It's time he increased his odds. Military skills alone won't protect him if he's ambushed again. His body's still aching, which tells him that he won't survive that if it happens again. He needs another way. One that will catch his enemies off guard, giving him the chance he'll need to accomplish an even bigger goal. Which is obviously to get to Blood's ass right there. So meanwhile, we see these vampires meeting up, and they're just mad that they let Spawn get away. They're like, well, Spawn wasn't supposed to survive that, and you guys should have split into two, not attack him in one. That's what caused it. They're like, well, Spawn barely crawled out of there, and the other guy's like, I think you're missing the point. We were supposed to kill him, not let him crawl. I don't give a damn how badly injured he was. He's not dead. He killed our side, and how many did he kill? 6. That's absurd. So let's hunt the bastard down. He couldn't have gotten far without being noticed. I'll take it from here. So put another group together. No, put 2 more groups together, then stand by for orders. I'm gonna do my computer magic and locate this son bitch. Check back in an hour. So 20 minutes later, Spawn's like, Tyrone, you ain't got to call me. I'm calling Tyrone. That's an old school song if you guys don't know. But anyway, Spawn's like, I believe you're looking for me right here. Holds him at gunpoint. And Tyrone's like, nah, bro, you can't be looking for smoke like that. You're not going to shoot me. You're not that dumb. This place is wired for gunfire frequency. You shoot me, it sets off the alarms. And Spawn's like, yeah, but you'll be dead. So will you, because this entire place will go into lockdown. You won't be able to escape. Sure, I'll be dead, but New York Police Department, half of New York's finest, will be there to beat you up too. I didn't come here to kill you. I'm here to kidnap you. Tyrone's like, come on, bro. You know who my dad is? That's why I'm here, to piss off your dad. Spawn he's like I said, Spawn's on business right now, and he's gonna see you suffer. And he'll hunt you like a dog, says Tyrone. That's exactly what I'm hoping for. Now call your men. I need a witness that'll give your dad my message. Call your men. You're a dead man, says Tyrone. Don't matter. Spawn is on business right now, and he's got something up his sleeve. And that he does, and the men start coming. You've got some sort of plan, don't you, says Tyrone. You wouldn't have come here if you didn't think you'll get out alive. Is that it? Is a suit? You think the suit was going to protect you? Before Spawn will even glorify that with an answer, the men come in ready for business, and Spawn's like, welcome, gentlemen. Only one of you is leaving alive. And that's when his actual plan kicks in. And by the look on his enemies' faces, he knows none of these angels are prepared to deal with the kind of monstrosity now towering over them. Why? Because he's got Cygor right there, ready to be an ally to Spawn, and ready to do that work, and ready for that smoke too, because that's how Spawn turns the tables on his enemies. And I want to see what happens on the next issue. What you guys think of this comic book? Comment below, let me know. Also, link in description if you wish to add this comic book and or any of our other limited print Rated Comics exclusives to add to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. With all that being said, thank you again for watching. Until next time.